Q Robinson, man. Q Robinson. Let's talk about him. He was selected in the 4th round with the 134th pick by the Denver Broncos in the 2025 NFL draft. And let me tell y'all something, man. There are some special traits. We're going to talk about the player, his history, his measurables, and we're even going to look at a little bit of film to really break down what kind of player the Broncos are getting, what's the vision for him, and what do I think it looks like for him in the next coming years for a player like Q. So if you guys love the Denver Broncos, Denver sports, if you love the NFL draft, check out some of the other videos, man. Hopefully you guys like what you see and you'll subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it in advance. And, let's get started with Q, man. I'm excited about this one. Really, really pumped. So let's talk about Q Robinson first and foremost. So he was a very highly recruited, highly touted 4-star recruit for the Alabama Crimson Tide several years back. In fact, in that draft class, he was ranked as the number 1 target that they had for the team. So he was obviously someone that has a crazy amount of talent. And he was actually originally recruited to be a safety for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And he eventually, made the transition pretty quickly in college to edge rusher, added some weight. And the first 3 years that he was in Alabama, he was primarily a special teams player, but not just any special teams player. He's a 4-phase special teams captain, someone that Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time, had said was the best special teams player that he's ever coached. So that's all very positive. And I think that's why this narrative of like the Broncos drafted a special teamer in the 4th round is kind of going along. But he finally got his opportunity, right? He was behind guys like Chris Braswell and Will Anderson Jr., big time players like that at Alabama while he was kind of waiting his turn to eventually play in the league, get some playing time. And to his credit, this is what I really appreciate about someone like him. He obviously loves the game. It shows a lot about his character that he didn't just get into the transfer portal in this new age of college football that we live in to go play for another school. Because there's a ton of other schools in the SEC and any conference that would have loved to have him, and he could have started and gotten playing time right away. He waited his time, and in this past season, he had a great opportunity. He finally played a lot on defense. He led the team in tackles for a loss. Got himself. Let me just make sure I got the numbers correct here for you. He had 3 sacks for the team and 10 quarterback hurries in 9 games played. Unfortunately, his season was cut short by injury. But don't just look at the numbers, guys, and say, oh, you're going to make a judgment. So for what it's worth, what I really like to do is I like to look at PFF's grades, but very specific ones, right? Very particular. What's your true pass rush grade? 89.9 is an absolutely elite number. His pass rush grade in general was 90.3, which is absolutely elite. And he was actually graded out pretty decently against the run for an undersized edge. But more importantly, 24% pass rush win rate is ridiculously good in the SEC against the best competition you're going to play against. He was able to make the most out of the snaps that he had, and he turned it into production. Like I said, there was a lot of games where he's not going to blow the sack numbers out of the water, right? Which is 3 sacks and 246 defensive snaps, which is low, but very disruptive player, disruptive in the run game, disruptive in the pass game. Very, very impressed with what I see. And you guys will be able to see that on the film. So he's got a ton of that, but taking it even a step further, he's got all the tools, man. I mean, 6'4", 243, pretty solidly sized guy. He can add a few pounds, which he will in the NFL. 33.5-inch arms, incredibly long. His wingspan as a whole is 93rd percentile. He's got big hands, and I don't know why they ranked his athleticism score low, which is really weird because he didn't even test at the combine. But I could assure you, he tested through the roof if he did, because he pops off on tape. Got all the tools that you can ask for when it comes to an edge rusher. But here's the positive. So we took him in the 4th round. A lot of people are saying, why would you draft a special teamer in the 4th round? Here's kind of how here's my view on this. When you look at edge rushers, right? He was on the consensus board, like of all of the experts and the highest rated scouts, they had him ranked around edge number 20, right? And he was taken as the 19th edge in this class. So in terms of where he was ranked, it was very much in line with what the consensus ranking was. But he's got a really big advantage over a lot of these other edge players is that he is an elite, or he projects to be an elite special teams player, a four-phase special teams guy, someone that can contribute to a team right away. And the positives with that is it's like the ultimate insurance policy for prospects. As you develop at your craft on offense or on defense, if you can contribute on special teams, not only are you going to make a team, you're going to be active on game day and you're going to be playing every single week. And that's exactly what I see Q Robinson doing for the team. Not a lot of guys might like it, but you know what I don't like? I don't like when we have draft picks that we take in the 4th, 5th, 6th round every single year that are game day inactives, right? That take, several weeks to just sniff the field. And when they do, they, barely even play. I like to be able to get guys that can go out there and at least contribute. And people are not going to be blown away. A lot of people don't really care for special teams that much, even though obviously it's very important. It doesn't light up the stat sheet, but his ability to do that is a great insurance policy so that, at bare minimum, you're going to be able to get someone that can contribute to your football team. As a pure edge rusher, I view him as somebody that has a very, very high ceiling, but a very low floor. So I think he's a very high risk, high reward. You don't know what you're going to get, but I'm a lot more optimistic that he's going to be more good than he is going to be bad as a pass rusher. And it's because you can see the traits. You can see the work ethic. You can see the motor, how violent he can be, how much he can really disrupt the game. The problem is that he's extremely raw. And even though he played at Alabama in the games, he hasn't played that many snaps. I mean, this past year was the first year that he was actually a full-time starter for him, and he only played in 9 games due to an unfortunate injury that he had. So, he's still got a lot of developing to make it big into the next level. But you know what? Let's just why don't we just dive right in to some of the film, because I think this is really going to speak for itself, and you guys are going to be able to see a lot of these traits that we're talking about. And that's something that I think is important to keep in mind with all of these draft picks, especially day 3 guys, is it's always about a vision. Nothing more, nothing less. It's always going to be about, what do you project this player to be out in a few years? I mean, Nick Bonito was the last pick in the 2nd round a few years back, and he didn't really become an impact player until this last season, which was his 3rd year. So you want to see them on that upward trajectory, but you can't expect that he's going to be an unbelievably dominant player. But like I said, the fact that he's got the special teams background is big. Think Justin Sternad too, right? Justin Sternad ended up filling in admirably last year when he finally got his opportunity. He was drafted in like the 5th or 6th round out of Wake Forest, and he made the team every year, and he contributed because he was a really good special teams player. So it is what it is. So let's break some of this down here. I'm going to let it roll, and then we'll run it back and we'll watch some of the film. But it is important to know that he is at the top of the screen as the edge rusher over the left tackle. Just beats him with a spin move. And I tried to find some of these different film cut-ups to kind of show a little different nuances that he has to his game. So you can obviously see here against Wisconsin, he's got the speed in the bend, get around the corner, and you can't get to the quarterback, right? That's not going to necessarily be considered a sack in a lot of cases, but you're impacting the game by getting the ball out. So you love seeing that. Here's another one. And this one was him showing his skill set against the run. I know a lot of times that's kind of what a lot of people worry about, but he's at the top of the screen again. You can see he is stacking. This is the perfect stack and shed, right? He stacks the left tackle, sheds him, gets into the backfield, makes the play. Tackle for a loss, next play. Just stays disciplined here, shows the athleticism, right? Reads the quarterback's eyes, understands that the quarterback is a runner. He doesn't bite for the fake. He knows his assignment. He goes out there, does his job again. This one I circled for y'all. So watch, because it's kind of hard to see. Keep your eye on that right tackle and watch what Q Robinson does to him. All right? He doesn't ultimately get the sack, I don't believe, but he absolutely blows this play up completely. This is against South Carolina, by the way. Puts the dude on his ass. So what you're seeing here, and like I said, this is just a couple plays, so don't get overly excited that this is going to be, but it shows everything, right? So far we've seen the speed moves, We've seen him being very stout against the run, stacking and shedding. We've seen him being disciplined and being a smart, high IQ player. And then right here, you're going to see his ability to power rush and absolutely just bulldoze right over a dude to almost get the quarterback and ultimately results in a sack. And here's another one later in the game too. They had circled. As you can see, this he gets his face mask held, completely beats the tackle with a fake inside-outside move, comes back in, gets the face mask, and is also able to get the sack. And by the way, 15 yards added to that play. And then lastly, so again, what have we seen? We've seen speed. We've seen him good against the run. We've seen the power moves. We've seen the football IQ and the high awareness. Now you're going to see him in an outside linebacker position. Okay. He's basically the Mike linebacker right in the middle of the screen. He's playing the spy role on the ball. I had, oops, what the hell? In the small amount of film that I had, looked through and seen, like I said, there's not a whole bunch of snaps. The fact that you see a little bit of those glimpses in all of those phases, and there's a lot more highlights when it comes to him as a pure pass rusher, but the fact that he's shown that he can be stout in the run game, he's shown that he can be an off-ball guy, that versatility is going to be imperative for his development and what he can ultimately do. And I think that's the vision that Sean and George Paton see for the Broncos. So I think we got a really good one. As I said, he's not someone that's talked a lot about, A, because I think day 3 was a little bit of a disappointment for Broncos country, but B, people are, we're kind of sick of, continuously drafting defensive guys, right? We had Savion Jones was the pick prior, who I think is going to be a stud. We'll have a video on him later. And then, afterwards, what really stole the headlines were the selection of the punter, who is a very good punter, by the way, but people have their opinions on that. And then the tight end, Caleb Lohner, who played 57 snaps in college, has a basketball background, and is an extremely raw project that, some people are saying could he be the next Jimmy Graham for Sean Payton? We're going to have videos separately on all these guys, but I really wanted to focus on Q Robinson because I was thoroughly impressed with the kind of player that he was. I love all of the measurables. I like what you hear about him from an intangible standpoint. The fact that he can be a special teams contributor, the fact that he played at Alabama was really productive in the time that he was able to play on defense, and made an impact, in the opportunities that he got elsewhere also. So I love it. I think he's he's going to ultimately become a very, very good player, very impactful player. And, one thing you can guarantee and bet every year, it seems like right now with George Paton and Sean Payton, is they are going to draft a corner at some point, and they are going to draft an edge rusher at some point. That's exactly what they did again. They've done it almost every single year, together or when George Paton was a GM without Sean Payton. That's just what they do. And that's always smart. You always want to add to those rooms. Those are premium positions. Those are positions where you want to have depth and you want to have guys that can play multiple positions. Q Robinson is exactly that. And you add into the fact that he's a special teams demon. Let me know what you guys think about the selection of Q Robinson, the player, not just we didn't need an edge. I would have preferred that. I get it. I understand. I'm right there with you. I wanted a tight end badly. I wanted another running back badly. I'm right there with you. But we didn't go that route. We feel the front office seems a lot more confident with what they have currently than I think the consensus Bronco fans do. But let me know what you think about the player himself and what kind of impact you think he can make year 1 and also moving forward. I appreciate y'all, man. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and peace out, man. Take care of yourselves.